shall break your hold. We'll rise to the heights of exaltation.
Hello viewers, we are back again. This is 2024. I would like to welcome you to our 7th session, which is the first session of the year. 2024 has just begun. Compliments to you all, to all the corners of the world where you're at. I am here back, Alice Dembe, and I'm the host of the Bring Back Your Smile, Break Your Shell podcast, where we do converse and talk about issues that affect women, from psychosocial issues, health issues, political issues, and general economic issues that affect women in their lives as they grow, and how we can share our experiences and our lives choices that we made that taught us some things, and we can teach others, or others can use those experiences to build on their own. I am not alone again. As usual, I sit on this podcast with a couple of guests, and today I do have some amazing women that I'm going to introduce that are going to share from their own life experiences, from some of the things they have learned in their own lives, and on the topic today, which is looking at single motherhood or single women. And it doesn't matter what got you into singlehood or into single motherhood. We are going to be talking on issues around that, where what happens, what society says about it, what religion says about it, what does community say about it, and how do these how does this affect women that are single mothers in our community, and how they thrive above, and how much they have to struggle and fight to stay above water in these circumstances. So today I'm joined by Notlahla on my right. Notlahla Mabuza is an HR practitioner. She is a mother of 2 teenagers, guys. I mean, that's already a full-time job. I don't know why she still has to wake up to go to work, but mother of 2 girls who are teenagers. She is an amazing mom to these girls. She has been married before. She got divorced to raise her daughters, and she remarried. So from her experience in that life path, she's going to tell us how that has been, and how that can also affect a woman out there who could be in similar circumstances at whatever stage, to learn from that. And on my immediate left, I am joined by Stelo. She is a founder of Ashes to Beauty, which by just the name, it says a lot. I mean, you can rise from anything and become the beauty of this world. So Stelo is also a mother of 1, and she is a pastor, and she's a counselor. And I understand that Stelo actually likes reading, which I heard that something to do with leaders are readers, which probably that what makes Stelo. And today she is sharing from her own life experience as a single mother. So she's worked in her work with a lot of single people. She works in the giving talks in the churches to help other single people or single individuals to deal with life challenges. And my extreme left there, we have Nsense. She has a name that I am learning to pronounce somewhere through the podcast. You will hear me pronounce her full name. Nsense Dlamini is also a mom. She is married. She has 4 children, and she's a teacher by profession. So today we might have somebody who talks more than I do. So she is going to be sharing her perspective on this topic that we have today. So ladies, I would like to welcome you to the session today, and our audience is ready to hear what you have to share. And to you, I also say compliments of 2024. So taking from that perspective of single motherhood, I would like to ask my audience here to share from their life experiences in general. If we start with the general side, what has been your experience being a single mother? So how has society embraced you? How has the church embraced you? Even if you do consider going into the political arena, what has been your experience in the workplace? Is there any difference because you're a single mother? Would you care to please share what has been your experience as a single mom?
Okay, thank you. Single motherhood is not child's game. That's a fact, because you are expected to play both roles. It becomes better if there are people that can help and father the child. But if you become the father and the mother, it's not easy. Okay, for my case, I think, like I am saying, it is not easy because, you know, nobody chooses one to be a single parent. You want the happy ever after. You know, you want your children to be raised in the right environment. You know, so when you find yourself in that, you are first dealing with the fact that, okay, now I'm here, I'm alone. We are trying to regroup. Okay, like in my case, I have said my husband passed on. Dealing with that, okay, this one has gone. He has left me. For me, there were anger issues. I felt like he gave up. He was sick, but I felt like, no, he gave up. He could have waited even for his child. You know, he could have waited for, he could have done something. So you're dealing with so many of your emotion, your own grief. And at the same time, the children are also dealing with their own grief. So you've got to be there for yourself, but be there for them as well. So that is challenging. Then there are the practicalities of then the singlehood that you are not even aware whether you are embracing it or what. The day-to-day thing, you when you had been in a relationship, everything is shared. The bills are shared. The chores are shared. The problems are shared. You know, even the raising of the child. One is the authoritarian. The other one maybe is the soft whatever. But we all have our rose card, and it works well. But then suddenly you find yourself that, the house is looking, I have to attend to the house. I also have to go outside there. Somebody's, so this child, we have to somehow manage to live and be everything that we never thought was. That is the struggle, and it's an everyday struggle, I can say.
That's quite tough, eh? And like you're saying, acknowledging that it's not many people really become single mothers because they choose to. And I acknowledge what you have said, that you could be single because you're widowed. You could be single because you're divorced. You could be single because, you know, you had a child before you got married and someone left and you are on your own, or you chose to be on your own because of the circumstances. And from that perspective, I'd like to just move it a bit to someone who can bring in that perspective. You did in the introduction, you were married, you had kids, and then you got divorced on your own with the kids, and you raised them for a while. I've seen these beautiful girls, guys, beautiful girls, and then you remarried. So, but we want to start from, so when you divorced and you were now a single mother, how has that been like you? How was it?
Okay, thank you, Alice. It was an amazing journey now that I look back. But during that time, it was a struggle. It was challenging. It has taught me a lesson which today I am sharing. So one of the lessons is stop forgiving. You know, most of the time we tell people to forgive. Actually, that is a handful of an activity or an assignment for one to go through, especially yourself. It's easy to forgive you because I think at some point there were days and months where I won't see you or talk to you or deliberately ignore you. But you cannot ignore yourself. You always carry yourself everywhere you go. But I have learned to forgive myself. It was a journey. It was not easy. But at some point, we want to lean mostly on how can we help that lady to bring back that smile. So I don't want to dwell much in the pain and all that, because, yeah, during the time when you were soaked into your pain, you will cry at some point. So I want to drive to what worked well for me. It's the relationship with God. Because at some point, I'm like, God, you allowed it. Yes, God gives us a willpower. I could have decided to stay in that marriage, but no. After having a continuous conversation with my God, I built in an altar because at some point I wouldn't even have words to say to God. But in my house, I had an altar to say, God, when I'm seated here, it's when I am presenting myself. Read my tears, go deep down, because a human being is in three folds. You have your mind, your soul, and you've got the spirit, the soul, and the body. So all three aspects. You can be okay, put on your makeup, put on the face, fake it, to feel it. Sometimes I would say that today you're not crying, and I'll be looking at myself in the mirror, and tears will be going down. But you know, I said, God, I'm presenting you, because what I have is what I am oozing to my children. They want to see a healthy mom, a happy mom. I'm a Bible person, but you know, life reduced me to say, now you are divorced. Yes, society and home, when I decided to tell them to say, guys, I'm walking away, they're like, Uto wenda njani? And the kids, how are you going to face the world? I'm like, yeah. But no, I've made a cautious decision to say, you know what? Sometimes we make those decisions selfishly, not knowing that we're tapping into another era. You know, now I am single. So they looking at the mother for whatever solution. So they used to say to me, Maggie, we know you can do it. So much pressure on yourself. So I was like, no, I don't want to pour from an empty cup or from a sickly cup or a sulking cup. So I needed to make that relationship with God to be solid, deliberately, purposefully, and so intentional to say, God, I cannot do without you. So I will have my sessions to pray, and I will take my position. So when they walk into my room and see mother kneeling down, they silently, quietly move out of that room and let me, and will ask me, Mag, when you are kneeling down, usuka wendani? I'm like, guys, I'm swing tandaza, and I don't need any distraction. So they will wait for that time. So at some point, we'll have a conversation with the kids to say, please don't take long, because we also want to converse with you. So again, you need to introduce your kids to your journey, to say, guys, then let's walk together. This is what life has thrown to us. Yes, we were involved, especially because I decided to walk away with you. So, yeah, I think I will take another question, but however, is that self-forgiveness and the solid relationship with God, that is very important.
Thank you, Nonohlahla. You have taken us further into what we can do, and that's already starting to show that no matter how tough things could be, you can still rise above the ashes, and clean up and dust off the ashes and show the beauty that is within. But before we get to the how we deal with it, I'd like to just pose the same question across to my left here and find out from your personal experience, how was that, just that, how was it, and how, what happened, what did you have to face? We will come into what did you have to do to manage it, but can we acknowledge what is it that single mothers are going through, divorced, widowed, or had a child? What is it that they're going through out there? There could be a woman listening and trying to figure out, is this describing me? What would you say to pertaining to your experience?
It's a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful day. Our beautiful audience. Before I got married, I had 2 children. Yes, the father had died while they were still 3 and 2. The boy was 3, and the girl was 2. So I had to raise them now as a single. Okay, I wasn't married, but the father was there. So when he died, they were young, and now I was alone. So I raised them up until they were 11 and 10. Trying to date at the same time. Trying to date at the same time. I am a lover. I've got love. I'm passionate. I'm passionate. I want to be loved. I want to love. I'm full of love. So I'm coming from a family that's grounded, my father and my mother. So I've seen them growing us up. So now I'm growing these children all by myself. I'm trying to date on the other hand. being a Christian, you don't know which department. There are departments in the church: single, young, single, old, widowed. Now you don't know which part are you in. Yes, you are a mother. They haven't even I tried to identify, to sort that in the church. They can't say single mothers come the side, young ladies come the side. The older ones, they should come the side. So now I'm this woman who wants to get married, but you don't know where you belong. So it's a challenge. Then eventually you meet this guy, you get married again. The society now, how she's bringing 2 children and you've got 1. No, she's too much baggage. The family, the friends. It's too much. It's too much of a challenge. But I think what I can say, it's the praying for everyone. It's a solution. God listens to our prayers. One thing that I can say that I've learned over the years is to listen to God. If we can all do that, unfortunately, it's one challenged aspect of our Christianity. We move with the wave. We have to listen to God so that most of the things we wouldn't be here. But now we are not blaming one another, but it's almost have caused most of our problems. We don't listen to our Father. Hence, we keep on smashing our heads. We have meeting problems here and there. But praying helped me. Then now it's a matter of finding a husband that will also accommodate the children. Are you taking the children to his parents, to their father's side? Are you taking them to your mother's, to your parents? You bringing them in here? It's another struggle to solve. Even if you are in the marriage, sometimes the husband has to have the vision that now I have this. It's easier when you are committing. The problem is in doing, in the practicality now, because you have to handle most of everything. Whether he's assisting, he comes in as a father, sometimes he is failing and you are blaming each other because it's not his children. All those things, they come in, they are there. So it's a broad issue, but in everything we can only trust God. Yes, that is all I can say, but it's big. Yes, it's big.
Wow. Sensei, you've brought in an interesting aspect there of, so now you have children and you want to date. I would like to acknowledge that the single motherhood, to start with, like Stedo said from the beginning, it's not a child's play. It's not easy. And it's multiple facets of things at play. We've already explored that in the church, like they say, there is no actual place for a single mother. So it's either you're single, you're young, in the youth, you're single, you're older, looking to get married, or you're married, or you're widowed in the church. And those ones are acknowledged because they were probably already married. But in terms of a younger, middle-aged woman who has children, there's usually no space exactly where do you fall and which group can you join and where can you participate. And that actually, I remember asking in my church once, there was this family's lighting of the candle during the 4 days of Advent. So each week of the 4 Advents, a candle is lit, and a family is always asked to light that candle every Sunday. And I asked, in our church, what do we call family? And the lady who was leading this process, because she had approached me, she got, taken quite aback. And I said, are you telling me, and I said by name, that she and her daughter are not a family? Because then if you do not allow them to light a candle in one of the 4 weeks, we are openly acknowledging they're not part of our community. There is fathers who have children in the church as well. They're not married, and they come to church with their children. If you don't give them a chance to light one of the candles, we are openly acknowledging as a church that they are not part of the community. And she was really quite taken aback, you know. And I'm saying it to support what you say, that the church sometimes then does not acknowledge or does not provide space for thriving for single motherhood. And sometimes it's fear of acknowledging that they're even there. I can imagine, I know that you are in the praise and worship.
Yeah, I want to comment on that.
I'd like to hear, Noni, what changed? Did your participation had to change because of your status?
It was a lot of some drama that went there. 'Cause at some point, I had to have a conversation with my pastor then to say, which group do I belong to? At some point, after a long, continuous conversation, you're like, okay, you know what, my daughter, just decide. I'm like, okay, because I didn't fit in the single parent because they were called Daughters of Zion, because the different things were so irrelevant. The issues, you know, at some point I was asked to encourage them and I will be sharing my story. Then now again on this married ladies, again, I would just go and check while I wanting to make a decision, which group do I want to belong, because I've been given a choice to do that. So at some point I was like, okay, now it's 2 years under married ladies, because I was once married, you know, I was serving in there. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's Jennings. So like my husband, like, okay, Mine, I don't have a husband now, because they will make reference to that. And Ngale is a father of my children. I'm like, okay, guys, I think now we need to have a new group that will accommodate, but we have so many affiliates to that. I walked out. Someone's husband maybe died, that widowed. You know, we don't really, because our needs are different. I don't know how are we going to bring inclusivity in the church. But however, at some point, let me just be honest, I felt pressured to go back and remarry or marry again, because now I feel like in Lululwane, I'm not a mouse, I'm not a bird, I'm just in between. So God, who is my identity? Who is me? At some point, I need to go back and find self. But you know, the word always helps us about our identity, that we are priesthood. You know, that I came out with a broken vessel that will shine one day, you know. So that's why I then decided, let me just build on my brokenness. One day, I will know, but I know that I'm a child of God. But at some point, so yeah, some people, they are sucked in and buried in that identity. Some, they even stop going to church. I know a friend of mine who say, I don't belong anywhere. So in these Mingli services, I don't want to affiliate in any, because I don't belong anywhere. So I'm okay at home like that.
In our church, we actually were faced with this, with that problem. So we had to take the initiative to say, they are in my case, I don't mind being with the married. I'm strong enough to handle whatever. But there's somebody who is not strong enough to be there. They cannot be with the youth because their children are grown. Their children are also part of the youth. So they cannot be in the same category. So we took an initiative to approach the leadership to say, can we have a forum for single adults? And yes, it was eventually created, where you become part because you feel you belong there. Nobody says it's age, because we cannot say it's age. Somebody at 25 may feel, I'm not a youth anymore, I'm an adult. You know, the things that I say, they're not relevant to me anymore. Somebody at 54, like I'm saying, yeah, I'm single, I call myself single. I can be like, call myself married, whatever, but I choose. That's because identity is what you choose. Okay. You choose who you become. And that comes with being confident of your story, We don't want to own up to our stories. We don't want to own up to what has happened to us. Then we tend to look at what people say about us. It doesn't matter. It is not relevant. Once you are secured, like I'm saying, I'm secured, I'm 54, I'm single. There's no but about it. That's my security, that's who I am, that's who I am, I have embraced. But you find that when you do not know, do you want to be called single? Do you want to be called married? Do you want to be called mother? Do you want, who do you call yourself? You know, that Samaritan woman I love. When Jesus said, you servant, she said, no, no problem. She owned her story. She knew that this is my story. And she could then be led to her purpose because she had her own identity. We cannot allow the church to identify us, the society, whatever. Find your own identity. Who are you? Once you're confident on who you are, nobody can say anything against that.
Wow. Quite interesting. So the fear of acknowledging the status is not because you don't know your status. It could be because you are afraid of what society labels that status that you pick. Like you're saying, if you're 54 and you stand up in the church and say, my name is Telo, I'm single, people would look at you very funny, you know, and your kids are standing next to you and also saying, hi, I'm 19 and I'm single. I'm like, okay, so, you know, so it may not necessarily be because people don't know what they are or who they are, but it could be hiding under I'm married for fear of what society says from with the status that they will pick. You wanted to say something, Zenz.
For me, it's an issue of forgiving yourself, like Nonhlanhla has said. I think one thing that we have to learn in our journeys is to identify where you went wrong as a person. Yeah, that's a start. We have been too struggling on our own because we can't forgive ourselves. One, you can't identify your faults. Yes, you cannot identify your weaknesses. Then it brings us back to what Sikelo is saying. Would say, if you can't identify your weaknesses and your faults and your mistakes, forgiving yourself, then you cannot even identify yourself. You are blaming people for your failures, you see. So if you know, okay, like my mother would say, when you are a girl, you must respect yourself. I mean, I think everyone has been taught that way. You respect yourself, respect yourself. So one, I have skipped the rules that my mother has said. Hence, I am here. Now I have to face it head on because I didn't do rule number 1. I didn't do rule number 2. Everything that I was told to go by, I didn't do it. So I am here now. Who is wrong? It's me. Yes, I am wrong. I didn't do it. So next move, forgive yourself. God has forgiven you. You also have to forgive yourself. Love yourself. But how are you going to do that? You are not even understanding yourself. So I'm saying, forgiving, she has brought it in. Find yourself. Know who you are. You can't be told by people who you are. You have to yourself. Do it yourself. Find your position. Where do you get that? By understanding where you went wrong, where you missed the points, where you did what, and then move on. It's not easy, but it's a start. You cannot go forward if you didn't start at 0. By finding yourself, identifying your faults. Thank you.
Nondentelelo, I told you I will say her name in full. So Nondentelelo has brought in quite a debatable issue here for us. And as we are about to go on a break, we'll be continuing after the break of this conversation. I'd just like to bring to the table for these ladies I'm sitting with to think about, and maybe we can talk about when we come back. That is it not true that each person, their life path is not the same as the next person? Number 1. Number 2, accomplishment of a woman, does it necessarily mean they need to be married? Is a single woman a failure compared to a married woman? So these are just questions I'm raising as we go forward. And maybe this is where some of the values our society puts on us, some of the challenges that Stella was bringing up, that people have challenges deciding or defining who they are. These values could be coming from these questions we need to answer. I have kids myself, and I always worry that I do not want to overburden them with a value that is standard for everybody. I would like to burden them with a value for who they are and build their path, which may not necessarily look like the next door boy's path, but is it a path that makes them happy and accomplish their full potential? So I think maybe as we go on our break, I would like us to, give a thought and probably some discourse on, if a woman has children before they get married, if they get widowed or they get divorced and they have their children and they are raising them, when they stand on stage, particularly in church, are they of any less value compared to a married woman? And if not, why do we then bring this pressure and this stigma and discrimination on the woman who has had children? Why do we call them names? I know Stella has some names she was looking for on internet, but we have names that we label them. I'm not saying I know the answers. I'm just saying maybe as we are having this conversation, trying to undo the pressures that the single mothers out there are dealing with, these are questions that we may need to explore. And I'd like to thank Nondentelelo, Stelo, and Notlata for this first half of our session. As we go into this break, and we'll come back and continue this conversation. Our viewers, please do not go away. We will continue on this conversation. Thank you. Hello viewers, welcome back from our break. And I said this is our 7th session of the Bring Back Your Smile podcast, and I am Alice Tembe, your host in this session. And as I said earlier on, I'm joined by Notlata, a HR practitioner, a mother, a once married, divorced, remarried experience that she's been sharing with us in the first session, together with Stelo here, who is also widowed and a single mom, a pastor and a founder of an organization, together with Nondentelelo Dlamini, who is married, a mom, but also was a single mom before she remarried. So with their experiences that we've been hearing earlier on, we would like to continue this second half of our conversation. I did ask a couple of questions before we left. I asked, is a single woman who has children before they marry, or a single woman who's divorced or widowed with children, are they any less value than a woman who's married? As a society, or probably the church does say. So that's something maybe that we'll kick off with, and we'll move on with our conversation. Any comments, ladies?
Yes, thank you, Alice. So, in many instances, we had allowed society to label us, yet it is contrary to the word of God. So the word says you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and mighty are his works. So you look at yourself in the mirror and see the mightiness of God. And we are a royal priesthood, a chosen generation. So the fact that I was divorced at home, I was told, you know, it's things that you want to allow and reject empilweni yakho. Those things to say, hey, feeling it divorce, then you walk down and you drop your shoulders. No, you are still a complete woman. Even if this new man will come into your life, you tell him, I'm a full package. Will you manage? I come with 2 souls, you know, that I love, and they're fully dependent on me. So don't hide them. Even if they were 4, I was going to address it to say, you take this full, complete package. It's me that you love. I have branches. You know, I'm not just a stem of a tree. I have kids. They would want to ooze something from me. Are you willing to share? Because when someone comes, you know. So those are the conversations that you must have with this man to say, you know what, if, okay, they come with, oh, glory, yeah, I'm okay. And now the influence of their family members to say, like, to a point, utana two when una one, then they make him to think otherwise. But nonetheless, if you love a tree, you love the tree, including the roots. The trees, even if it's winter, it withers off the leaves. But one day, have that conversation. This person has agreed to love you, and you'll be journeying together. In life, there are all seasons. There will be a winter season where guys, yeah, siratatat. And there'll be summer where it's all glory and summer and bright. But you have even the middle, the autumn, where you are not sure what season are we at, and you know your spring where things they start to flourish. So, guys, I feel like I want to be a transparent book. So you lay things on the table. I love my kids. I cannot be separated. So the kids, at some point, I don't want to be blamed. Because when you decided to take new men and leave us alone, but we are journeying together.
Interesting.
But I would want to chip in the fact that for somebody to come to your position of power and ownership of who they are, they need to start at the bottom and acknowledge what that event has done to them. It has taken your self-esteem, it has taken your confidence, you feel guilty, you feel ashamed, you feel, you know, you need that, a vehicle that will help you to become what then will be the product. If it's counseling, which I stand for, go for counseling. If you feel there are other ways, that will build you as a person, because you cannot give society what you are not. Build yourself. What we do, we usually ignore what that event has done to you. Because somehow you feel, I messed up. It's fine, but then find something that will help fuel what you want to be the end product. See where you are going, but do something. We lack in the process of making yourself, and it's a continuous process. Make yourself to be the woman that you want to be. Then you can, when you meet somebody, say, no, this is and this is not, because now you know who you are.
Know who you are first before the world tells you who you should be. So you define yourself, and I can see that you want to say something. You can just jump in and
Yes, I can say, coming into this new era of your life, you have these two kids, you want to marry, and the society and all that. But all in all, I think we just have to accept that we, if you cannot leave, if you cannot stay as a single woman, you want to be married, make a right decision, because some situations are okay if you leave the children at granny's place, but it's you who make the decision that I want to stay with my children. You have your own ambitions, your own plans about how you want to raise your children. So I think it also matters most that you take into consideration how you want your children to be raised now that they are here. So it's key that, yes, I am getting married now, and here is the situation. I have sorted myself. I want to get married, me as a person, as an individual. Yes, this guy loves me, I'm getting married, fine. Now, how am I going to raise my children? How do I want them to be raised? So, because now they are also here. So it's key that you bring that into consideration, because these children, you are the only thing they have, which is much closest to them. Their grannies are not you. And you cannot let them be at granny, and then the next 10 years, you blaming someone else that my children are spoiled because granny was spoiling them. So those are the things that, in the question that you asked, if how do you handle these things? It's also important you are as an individual, but they are also your children that need some grooming from you, because you are the only one left. It's either they're going to their father or they're coming up with you, but it must be a very well considered part. Yes, because I think it's key.
Yeah, you have touched on a quite a very sensitive topic of children and in singlehood, whether you have separated, divorced, and maybe in situations where you're widowed, there's pretty much not much you can do. You can take them to the father; he's not there anymore. But let's say you're divorced or the father is there, you didn't marry him, you have children. I want to just pop a question to maybe push it a little bit further and ask, at what point and how much do you involve the children in that your journey, your choice? How much do you involve them if you decide to remarry? How much and at what point do you get them involved? Because that's also a very sensitive point. I don't know, not like you're something to say to that effect.
Yes. There's no stipulated time. To Stella's point, let's work with self first. Healing, it could take, I think for me, it took about 6 years, because first of all, I was in denial. Like really, we don't get married to divorce, but we get married to enjoy life. I mean, it's another step of life that one decides to get into, and being married is it's a gift or it's a blessing. Not all ladies would get that opportunity to do it, because even this second time, people are like, are we still waiting on the line? And we're not so happy. You're just taking much. So there's no stipulated time, but however, heal, because now you'll be pouring from that. So if you go into moving on to marry again, you go there with the pain, you'll think that, oh, there we go again, and you have in health, just heal, collect yourself, pick all the pieces, ensure that now you have got scars, the sores have vanished. It depends, we'll see how deep that soul is, because some scars they then fade away, some they stay. We will see car accident or whatever. So allow your scars to heal, or your wounds to heal, become scars. If they would want to disappear, disappear. Kulo munye utoshesha hilishe because maybe wawebheka nje. Lo munye it will take long because it cuts, you know, deep. So I'm still healing. Some women, when I have conversation, like, no, they are human beings. Step out, forgive yours. You know, no. My ex-husband was not the same as my father, because my father had to step in and pick me, help me pick the pieces, you know, when I was journeying in. And the question is like, when I will bring children. So they don't want to see you cry. At some point, I think the elder was just 3. Then when I was like, trying not to cry, he will go and pick a tissue and give me. And I'm like, God. So I needed to have a conversation. I know I was not making sense. And the younger one was 1 year old. But I had to sit them and talk to them. They were like, they were like, I want to go play. Then they left me. But I would say, guys, this is what, mommy is sick today. We give them mouthful. But at some point, I was not even making sense to me. At some point, I was like, I'm talking to God. They would be sitting and looking at me like that. But now they will start to ask the questions. Mommy, remember, why did we leave that home again? They are 16, but they still ask these questions to say, guys, really now? So you need to explain yourself over and over. And if you're not ready, or tell them the truth, rather postpone the conversation than to lie, because they will recall and remind you to say, Kala what? Today we are saying, so how many stories do we have? So when you are ready to share with them, stick to the facts, because they will come back with the same question even 10 years later. So yeah, you journey with them from the beginning. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
I would like to address this woman who is single, but is not, doesn't want to get married. The society pressures, and we pressure ourselves to remarry, when really it's not even what is in your cards. And maybe it's not good for you and where you are at that moment. So learn to process your thinking. Am I dating because what am I about? Do I want to marry really, or do I? So if I want to marry, what kind of a person do I want to marry? Okay, you are a Christian, okay, and the argument that is out there is that women are there who are single Christians. So what can you just grab because of the situation? So these are the things that you have to navigate even before having a relationship, if you want one. But also be strong to say, I don't want one. But if I don't want one and I'm a Christian, am I really in a position to stand in my faith doing the right thing? Because sometimes you are single and not single, which is what is happening around. So these are the things that you have to be honest to yourself about. If I'm saying I will remain single, is it an honest identity that I will uphold and will bring glory to God? Because wow, sometimes what then we do after saying we will remain single doesn't bring glory to God. So the honesty in yourself and not being desperate and not feeling the pressure of society and not pressuring yourself is very key.
So you decide whether you want to be single or you want to remarry. But the pressure is there. We are acknowledging the pressure is always there. I'm acknowledging that, and I want to take it a little bit further and bring the issue of the dating part, which we were having the conversation with Notlahla. So now you decide you want to start dating, and hopefully marry, and you have a child or children. when do they come into the conversation?
For me, I would say they come in when you know the direction of the relationship. Once you know that, because some relationships you get into believing they are leading somewhere and yet they are not. Try to be as discreet as possible. Respect your children as possible, and respect yourself whilst you are also dating. Until at a place that you are comfortable to introduce them to this person. Yes, life happens. You might think you are going to the wrong direction and whatever. But at least having done the check within yourself, you thought it was the right direction and you introduced them. But it would be perfect to introduce them to somebody whom you know that the relationship will lead to a marriage or something. That would be perfect, in a perfect way.
And Nsense is smiling. I have no idea why she's smiling, but I do appreciate that it has something to do with this conversation. The introduction of the children into the conversation. You have something to say to that effect.
Yeah, the introduction is difficult. It's difficult. While she's still talking, a lot of things are coming up in my mind. This thing is like an issue of the HIV part. I'm sorry to bring it here now. It's another topic for another day. I'm sorry. But, you know, you don't know when to tell the person, excuse me, I'm HIV positive. Because now the person will run away. Immediately you tell him. When you thought the person is ready to commit, now you're declaring yourself. The person runs. The second one comes, now you are no more declaring because the other one ran away. So the issue of telling your children, they see you dating. Today, guys, I'm going, if you I don't know whether you're living a holy life or you are a woman who says I'm praying, but I'm also dating and doing the other thing. So you would say, today my children, I'm going to see my boyfriend. Already he's in the picture. Probably you're not bringing him in your house. The next thing, you want to get married. You tell them, now I want to get married. Let me take it to the holiest life, that I am a clean woman. I have this boyfriend. I met him wherever I met him, but I'm strict. I'm doing everything by the book, by the word. Obviously, I will tell them, because now I see he's coming here. I want to marry. I want to all the procedures. So I think it's proper to tell them when when you see the person making the decisive part. Yes, I think it's then that you can tell them. Before we came into this topic, I realized that the other thing is the waiting period. The waiting period. People fail to wait. Every time there's this person, I think it's the pressure. We want to get married. Most of us want to get married. We do want to get married. I don't know where is it coming from that I have to belong somewhere. I don't know. I think it's the upbringing. Everyone, our mothers, when they were letting us grow, they would tell us, Gako, when you are married, we were structured, we were engineered to get married. So now we get frustrated in the journey, trying to meet what I was taught to be. So that part frustrates almost all of us. There are a few, and I commend them. A very few women that say, no, I'm not going there. And it's a journey, because the others who are inside, they want to come out. The one who are outside, they want to come in. And while we are still there, everyone is good at his or her place. At wherever you are, it's okay. Your time is coming. Don't be in a hurry. You will make a mistake of Isaac. Of Abraham giving a child to Ishmael. He had the promise, but he was just in a hurry. Yes, we are all having our own journeys and our destination. The destination is there. Ours is to focus. Then we hurry up trying to bring a solution for God. Yet God has the purpose for you. So we miss the point.
Wow, that was quite interesting perspective, and Sensei, that you brought in. And I'm acknowledging that all these issues that we are bringing onto the table, we have not even scratched half of this topic and the issues that are being dealt with, and would like to acknowledge that. And probably in our next series, we would probably have another session to look at the other perspectives that we have not discussed. But in the interest of time today, I know that this is getting heated, this is getting exciting. I would like to ask these beautiful ladies that I'm sitting with to share with the audience and any woman who's sitting out there. There are women who probably recently got divorced, women who got separated, women who recently got widowed, and there's some young women who, or even mature women who had children on their own, and they're probably hiding. They don't know what to do with their lives. They don't know whether the world stage has any space for them. They don't know what identity to claim. They don't even know who to claim it from. They don't know whether the world is ready for them to step up and be who they really want to be. And like somebody is somebody here acknowledged that some may actually still want to remain just single and not adhere to the pressure to be forced to remarry. But what is it that you have to say to that woman? What message would you like to say? So I'm going to just go around the table and ask each one of you to give a message that you want to share with the woman out there that is listening, that is scared, that is terrified, confused, probably being discriminated and doesn't know what to do. So what is your message to them today?
Oh, wow. I would say, ladies out there, ask us our experiences. Our children, they want us healthy, sober, loving, and present. So the word says he sets a home for the lonely. He is a father to the fatherless and is a helper to the fatherless. So let us just cling our eyes to God, the author and the finisher of our faith. Let's look unto him alone. You know, you will have your cousins, I'll be available. At some point you get your number blocked. You call the next person, they're not available. But when you go to your altar and cry unto God, he provides a solution. In your wilderness, he gives you. You know, at some point I was touched by my experience of my children. I found them eating a bread without a feeling. I'm like, guys, why didn't you tell me that there is no feeling? Like, mommy, this bread goes well without any peanut butter and Russian. We good. Because I have involved them in my journey to say at some point I will have nothing. But as long as I have you guys, I have the world. You mean the world to me. So God will help me to speak positive to my children. So ladies, allow God to fill your cups so that you know what to say to your children. Do not. It hurts. Words cut so very much. And even if you go through your counseling, involve them. At some instances, it's not making sense. Mommy, why are we going there? Do they have to know our stories? But now they're like, wow, you know that lady? Mommy said what? I'm like, okay, whatever. But in a long run, involve your children. I want to journey with them because they understand even if you do not have money. I had also shared a little bit that you guys must keep coins. So at some point, I had the first child supporting us through his coffers. Yabona le money box there. Like, mommy, I have 665 emalangeni, so I can buy bread the rest of this week. It got me into tears. So let us involve them, speak a word, encourage them, love them. So it starts with self, love yourself, be selfish, go get yourself, love yourself. At some point, say, guys, in massage. So if they want to make Monday, also do that because I know. But they know that they know I love massage. So that's how they make money. They get the money by servicing me. So, we have a game. So, ladies out there, we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A powerful message, Notlasha. Stella, what message would you like to give the ladies out there who are waiting to maybe take a step, but they're just too scared?
I love what Nonhlanhla said about self-love. In all this, the most important person is you. Your children are important, but you are more important because they cannot have a mom without a whole mom. So do make yourself a priority. In the healing, in the everything, they will feed on who you are if you take care of yourself. And having said that, find your purpose in God. What has God brought you to here on earth for? Because yes, we are mothers, but it's a purpose, but there is a divine purpose that God has brought you. Because once you find the divine purpose, you'll be preserved. Purpose has that preservation because it calls you forth. You want to be what you see God saying you are. So when I found my purpose, it's when I started looking at myself differently, because I know that I am who God says I am, and I have to make sure I feel myself so that what He has called me to be does not die in my hands. So that purpose will wake you up when you don't want to wake up. Will talk to you when you can't talk to yourself. It will beckon you to keep on coming. So find your purpose, whether you are married, because you can be married and without having found your divine purpose. Whether you're single, whether you are what, find your divine purpose. We are here for something. What are you here on earth for?
Wow. I hope our audience is listening to this. This is very powerful messages coming from our ladies, and I will end with and say, what is your message to our women out there?
I would say in most cases, the other biggest challenge is the finances part. Now you are all by yourself. You're having these children. Probably the father is the challenges that we face as these single women. Most of them, the fathers are not contributing to the upbringing of the children. Even if the father is bringing, the finance will always be key, because it is the solution of everything. So as a single mother or as a wife, whether married or single, I think we have to learn to be the woman in Proverbs 31. We have to, it's a must that we have to have other sources of income. You cannot manage to not have a husband if it bothers you, and have other stressors, and you can't take care of these children that God has blessed you with. So mine is to say, as a woman, we have to do something about our finances. No matter how big the challenges are, other than the fact that you are all by yourself at the moment and you don't know what to take and what to mix it with. But you have to try very hard to find other means of making your life easier. Other problems are caused, other pressures are caused by the fact that you can't even take care of yourself. Now you are thinking the solution can be brought up if I can get married, find a man. No, you can do that on your own. Probably you are more stronger on your own. But the purpose comes in, the forgiveness comes in. Now you have dealt with all that things. Empower yourself. How are you empowering yourself? Read, ask. You selling bizwe moyen every sweets. Do something small, biscuits. Learn skills to survive. You cannot survive. You will be forced. You will be forced to get married, even if you didn't want to. You will be forced to take things that are not worth your being. So I mean, I would emphasize on us women to find means of making money, whether you are married, whether you are single, whether you are having children on your you having these children or you don't have these children. We just have to learn the skills of making money. It's very key. Empower yourself. Ask around, how can I do this? How can I do this? It's very important. Mine is on the finance part. Please, let's try to do that. It's very important that we do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies, and I would like to personally appreciate your presence and joining us today. This has been an amazing conversation, and as your host of Break Your Shell session, which we host and discuss issues that affect women of all walks of life. As you can see today, we're talking about women who are single, divorced, single mothers. We're talking about women who are widowed. We're talking about every woman out there. We have this podcast recorded and shared every first Friday of every month, and we are grateful for you, our viewers, who join us every month. Thank you so much for joining us. This would not have been possible without you, my beautiful co-interviewees. Thank you so much for sharing your life experiences and for sharing some words of wisdom that would help a woman that is out there. Before I go, I would like to also appreciate that this is the beginning of the a conversation that is very long. Single motherhood is not a small topic. Today we have only touched on how single mothers are affected or are dealing with challenges in the church. We've talked about how they manage a relationship and communication with the children, how they reconsider or make choices of to remarry and not to remarry, and what kind of identity remains after that. We have talked briefly about how we manage finances and how we can move forward with that. There's a whole other piece that we have not gotten into and talked about: the psychosocial issues, the loneliness that single women or single mothers deal with. If they want to participate in politics, what they have to face, the hurdles they have to jump through in the workplace, and the expectations when they go into relationships. There's so many things I haven't even begun to scratch on, but I'm so grateful that we've started this topic. And if you joined us, we hope that we'll further this discourse in our future conversations. Thank you very much from me, your host, Alice Tembe. See you in our next session.
I break my shell.